Finally, I'm strong enough to fight off Lord Byron if he tries a direct attack. As long as House Raven keeps its distance, we have a real chance at surviving the upcoming nobility examination. Suddenly, a guard approached the family celebration. Lord Hayfield, Baylor Graham is at the front door. He wishes to greet you and present a gift to young Nathan. Baylor? Marvelous. Let him come join us then. Baylor skittishly entered the room and paid his respects to Lord Ulrich by kneeling. Good morning, my lord. It's a pleasure to be with you all once more. Get off your butt, Baylor. Remember that you're always welcome here among us. What gift do you have for Nathan this year? I've less of a traditional gift this year. Really, I've come to praise his own spiritual fighting advancement and thank him for his help in improving my own. Oh, isn't that sweet of you? You've likely seen more of my son's improvement over these past few years than I have, given my own training regimen. Tell me, do you think he'll pass the spiritual warrior examination in a few months? Baylor looked over at Nathan to see if Ulrich was joking, but clearly he was not. Baylor smiled mischievously at his friend's father. I wouldn't worry about that at all, Lord Hayfield. In fact, if I were a gambler, I'd bet every penny I had that your son would come in the top 5 placements. Huh, is that so? Ulrich looked over at Nathan with a curious expression. Nathan simply shrugged his shoulders. Absolutely, sir. I've strictly followed the training plan he wrote for me 2 years ago, and I've already advanced multiple tiers to beginner level 5. His own training is many times more intense than mine is, so I can only imagine how strong he's become. All eyes fell on Nathan as he finished eating his piece of cake, uncomfortable with his friend's heavy praise. Well, I hope for his sake you're right, Baylor. Ulrich's laughter boomed through the dining room as he ruffled his son's hair. Nathan finally chimed in. He had, of course, used his improved eyesight and hearing to watch his friend from afar as he followed Nathan's instructions and was extremely pleased with his friend's resolve. Father, Baylor here is far too kind, but it is true that he himself has made tremendous progress over the past 2 years. For this reason, Baylor, I'd like you to take this. Nathan casually pulled a small scroll out of his pocket and handed it to Baylor. Baylor opened the scroll as all eyes in the room looked at him. Amelia couldn't bear the tension. Well, what is it, Baylor? What has Nathan given you? Nathan grinned as Baylor marveled at the sketches on the scroll. I gave him a spiritual fighting technique, a rare one that, if he practices regularly, should get him up to a beginner level 6 in half a year's time. Ulrich's brow furrowed. What? What technique is this? Baylor snapped out of his revelry and turned the scroll around for all to admire. The Demonic Parry technique. Ulrich's jaw dropped. How could his son know such a unique medium-strength technique at such a young age? Nathan, lad, where did you get this scroll? I wrote it out myself, Father. Nathan grinned and said nothing more. In his past life, he had collected dozens of sword-fighting techniques, and he knew that this lower medium-level skill would help his weaker friend a lot. Based on Nathan's knowledge of the Graham family's spiritual fighting history, he knew that this was perhaps the strongest technique any of them had ever received, and might help them further distinguish themselves as a strong local warrior family. Before Ulrich could respond to his son's mysteriously vague words, Baylor rolled up the scroll and saluted Nathan as a student would his teacher. Thank you, Nathan. I swear to you, I'll learn this technique and grow as strong as I possibly can. Perhaps one day, my strength can be a help to the House Hayfield. Oh yeah, and happy birthday. With that, Baylor snatched up a piece of cake and scurried out of the room. Amelia chuckled as she stood up and shook her head. Baylor, wait. Bring some cake to your father as well. We have far too much of it already. Here, old Billy, grab the cake. Ulrich and Nathan shared a chuckle as Amelia suddenly disappeared from the room with old Billy trailing behind her with the birthday cake. Bam! As the door shut behind them, the dining hall grew quiet, and Ulrich's gaze returned to his son. Tell me, lad, last I checked, you've only ever trained with wooden swords. Where did you learn such a technique? And before you answer me, don't just say you found it in your school's library. Nathan gulped at his father's unrelenting gaze. He hated lying to his father, but there were some things better left unsaid between them. But what if I did find the demonic parry technique in the library, father? Is that truly what happened? Yes. Besides, it's not that big a deal. It'll take Baylor months before he's able to use it yet, and even then, it's not that strong. I'm canny enough to know our enemies would come for him had he been given a more powerful sword-fighting style. Ulrich sighed as he nodded his head. He knew Nathan was telling the truth when it came to sword-fighting techniques. Demonic parry was useful in some situations, but it was nothing compared to the more powerful techniques that the nobility sought out and coveted. Nathan's gift had been well thought out, at least. Nobody would bother killing Baylor in order to steal that lowly scroll. Very well, then. But is it true what Baylor says about you being strong enough to place high in the spiritual warrior examinations? Ulrich thought that his son might be a high-level beginner, or at best, the lowest level of the apprentice stage. But it was utterly unthinkable that his son might be at an even higher level than he was in the master stage. What do you believe, father? Do you think I have a shot at a high placement? Don't toy with your old man, lad. I know you must be at least an upper-level beginner. Ulrich watched to see his son's reaction. If my son really is an upper-level beginner, he will at least someday reach a higher level of the apprentice stage. In truth, however, I suspect my son's talents will someday propel him to the lower end of the master levels. Ever since the accident, he's had a look in his eye that urges me to think that he's got a bright future ahead of him. He had no way of knowing that Nathan was already well beyond the strength he someday wished his son would reach. However, Nathan wasn't certain he wanted his father to know exactly how strong he was just yet. In truth, father, I'm not certain what level I am at the moment. I guess I'll just have to do the exam and see what happens. Nathan had to stifle a chuckle. He knew in his heart that the examination was barely a concern at all. He had zero doubts about his strength when compared to others of his own age. Ulrich rose from his chair and finally noticed the icing on his beard. He jokingly scolded his son as he washed his face clean in a saucer of water.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.